Hello everybody and welcome to another Warhammer 3 multiplayer Domination battle. I am playing once again as the Dark Elves, a fun and flavorful faction, being led by, where is she? Yes, the Supreme Sorceress of Fire on her little horse here, against the Lizardmen. Oxalonal once again in charge. Little sneaky, invisible chameleon Lizardman guy, got a very long range, irritating poke where he can't be seen. Here on the Battle for Itza, my front line, Bleak Swords, Hellebronai, Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, Bleak Swords, Dread Spears. I've got a couple Dark Shards with shields, because I was a little concerned about getting poked. And in the tree line, I have the Sisters of Singing Doom to sort of pick apart my opponent's valuable troops. Cold One Knights, because they're cool, and Cold One Knights, again, because they are just cool. For my opponent's army, he has Chameleon Skinks. He has a Skink Oracle over here, which I actually mistakenly believe this was his lord, or that he didn't actually spawn in with a lord, because Oxalotl is like always invisible, practically. Maybe I should have realized that this objective was being captured, but, you know, it could have just been a normal unit of Chameleon Skinks. But anyway, I figured he didn't actually spawn in with his lord, and this was what he was using instead. Saurus Warriors with shields, Skink cohorts with javelins, and the cohort of Sotek. So, both armies just sort of positioning over here. Oxalonal, I think, is, yeah, he's already killed 3 elves. Not quite sure where he killed those guys. I guess in these Dread Spears, he just sort of, like, sniped a couple of them or something. And we're already getting harried by these Chameleon Skinks, which I don't think I can see. I can just see them now. So I get my Dark Shards in, and I'm going to do some returning fire on them. Also keeping my Supreme Sorceress around so I can keep vision. I'm trying to dodge her around so she's not getting too injured. Launching a fireball in this guy. Yeah, that you know, 300 points of damage. Nice wind blast here on those Bleak Swords, pushing their position away so his chameleons can get away. But I've got my Cold One Knights, which are moving around the flanks looking for a new position. He summons in Feral Cold Ones and more Feral Cold Ones. And you know what? I just run away because I'm like, that's fine. You know, you can spend your points on that. These Bleak Swords, though, they don't listen to my orders. They just decide they want blood, and they're going to have it. They run right into these Saurus Warriors with shields and the Skank Oracle, and they're going to die for sure. But, you know what, the Druki want blood for their little murderous prowess, so it's fine. And we're jumping on these Saurus Warriors. Again, I think I would normally lose that, but I do have these Hellebronai over here providing a little bit of support, although granted, almost all of them are not actually participating in the battle. I'm trying to loop around with these Bleak Swords to get a flank. And over here in the middle is where the real action is happening. I've got these Dread Spears. We catch some of the Feral Cold Ones and able to get some easy kills there. These Dread Spears jumping on these Saurus. And the Cold One Knights running down the hill at these Skink cohorts. Are they going to get their javelins off? They do not. They don't get their javelins off. They're just going to get ripped to pieces. And the middle objective is barely going for me. We've got some Dark Shards, which are just peppering the Skink Oracle, doing a tremendous amount of damage. We've got these Saurus surrounded. They got hit with a burning head, it looks like. Yeah, you can see it over there cackling. Didn't do a tremendous amount of damage, but we are slowly grinding them down. These Dark Shards getting compromised, so I got some Dark Riders in to just sort of like push the Saurus away. Not really thinking that I'm going to be able to defeat them, but, you know, just trying to put up a roadblock to keep my archer units alive. And over here, we've got the Sisters of Singing Doom fighting the Saurus Warriors, really crippling their melee defense and their speed with the Madness of Cain, and also making them uncontrollable as they're rampaging. We keep the Cold One Knights in combat for way too long. Like, we really do a number on those Skink cohorts, but we needed to pull those units back sooner. I've got one unit of Dread Spears, which is just sitting here over here on Objective 1. And we've got all 3 objectives? Yes, we have all 3 objectives somehow. The cohort of Sotek sneaks behind my Hellebronai and are just chopping them to pieces. Definitely a battle the Dark Elves are very upset to be involved in. They are... Yeah, there is no way they'll possibly win that battle unless a nice burning head runs down the cohort of Sotek, doing, what, like 50% of their HP there? Pretty amazing little fire spell. My backline, though, is getting a little twisted, kind of like the Joker. My Dark Shards are compromised once more. I think the Dark Riders kind of got fucked up in that conflict. And we've got the Skink Oracle and the Feral Cold Ones over here, which are smashing into more of my units, but I've got more Dark Riders and Cold One Knights just kind of running around. These Dark Shards got killed by the Feral Cold Ones. And we're kind of losing Objective 2. We're definitely losing Objective 3. We just don't have enough mass on the point. But, you know, we're surrounding the cohort of Sotek. They're poisoned by the Helibroni. They poison them back. They're poisoning each other. So we should win this battle. Maybe. It's kind of close. It's difficult to kill these guys because they're unbreakable and they've got their refuse to die ability. So even when you think you have them on the ropes, they actually keep going. Supreme Sorceress of Fire staying way too long here in melee, eating way too much damage from those lizards. And we are slowly losing the second objective, but, you know, I'm just kind of like throwing bodies on here. I actually have a very immense point lead, honestly, like almost 400 points over my opponent. But he's about to take Objective 2 again. Oxalotl just hanging around, invisible. You know, he's shooting his blow dart, or, you know, he's looking for a position to start shooting his blow dart, at least. And over here, we've got my favorite Dark Elf unit, the Black Ark Corsair with handbows. Popping these Feral Cold Ones as they run away. They slam into these Cold One Knights. No way they're going to win that battle, especially when they get rear charged by more Cold One Knights. Yeah, it's just going to be slaughtered to a lizard. And so Objective 3 is pretty solidly in my grasp. We've got the Murderous Prowess activated too, so it's giving us a nice little combat boost on all of our units. And I think he tried a little attempt to take Objective 1, but we just sort of push him off, but he's definitely going to reclaim 2 over here. My frontline infantry, the Sisters of Singing Doom, are dead. The Dread Spears are dead. These Dread Spears are dead. I think he's, yeah, retreating those Skink cohorts. Smart move, getting those units away. But we've brought the Black Ark Corsairs back. And, you know, we're going to keep trying to reclaim this point. And the Crosshairs, or the Handbows, the Corsairs, not bad in melee either. With 35 weapon strength, 32 melee attack, they can kill, absolutely. And with their handguns, you know, anything they fight is going to be damaged before the conflict actually even begins. I've got more handbows over here, just sort of peppering these Saurus in their side, so their shield is not protecting them from these bolts raining down on top of them. And, you know, we're very limply holding Objective 3. Some of his lizard units, which I thought were going to rout off the battlefield, actually came back very, very bad, actually, and are poking my units over here. So I'm probably going to lose Objective 3. But apart from my handbows, I don't have too much in the middle. I have a lot of, like, disparate, ripped apart units that kind of died, except for these guys, the Blades of the Blood Queen, the extremely overpriced, very expensive Harkonneth's Executioner unit. Very powerful, 113 leadership. These guys, they have Frenzy, they have Guardian, so actually if their Lord is nearby, they're going to do pretty good. Casting Burning Head on top of these lizards. And, you know, that, it was okay. But we've got the Harkonneth's Executioners running in. We've got the Sisters of Singing Doom, and we actually get a terror route because the Sisters have terror. That's one of their big upsides, is even though there's only a single one of these sisters. No, that's not true. There's 7. We got 7 of them left. They actually can terror route. So we terror route those Saurus, we terror route those Saurus, and these guys are rampaging thanks to the madness of Cain. So my opponent is kind of losing control of his units, and I am taking advantage of that. I'm surrounding his troops, ripping them to pieces with these bolt throwers, handheld bolt throwers. And we've got some cavalry over here pushing him off of Objective 3. You know, and we're still up here holding Objective 1, so I'm feeling very confident at this point, thinking like, oh yeah, you know, this game's in the bag. Nice wind blast, though. Yeah, right into those Black Ark Corsairs. Doesn't actually kill any of them, but they're all very squishy, and he immediately jumps in once again with a cohort of Sotek that he's recovered once more. And, you know, he's got this Feral Stegodon, which is an anti-infantry, anti-armored tool. The Blades of the Blood Queen are not happy. This is not a good fight for them to be fighting a Feral Stegodon, but we do have a couple Dread Spears still alive, so, you know, we're poking, trying to get the Blades of the Blood Queen out of there on these cohort of Sotek. This is a decent fight for them. They will, you know, they'll do some damage, but not incredible. It would be better if they were up here hitting these Saurus Warriors in the back. My Dread Spears are not going to be able to defeat that, but we've got, like, a massive point lead on my opponent, like 800 at this go. But there is a Saurus Scar veteran over here, you know, just running around, killing stuff, killing my Dark Riders. And my Supreme Sorceress is a little, you know, a little frayed, just sort of flying around. We've brought the handbows back because they were being pushed off by the cohort, but another Wind Blast, I try to dodge it, not very successful. And we're still holding Objective 3, but my opponent just summons in new units. You know, he's got the money to spend, so he's gonna... I think, even though I have a massive point lead, I'm actually losing on value pretty handily. Yeah, like these, the Blades, the Blood Queen were a very expensive unit, and they're not doing super great. This is like a Firestorm on top of the cohort here. I wonder if my opponent, he does cast Earthblood, but he doesn't give them the entity immunity, so they actually get really fucked up by that attack. So that was a good cast, actually. Yeah, pretty good. But with these lizards, my units are just pretty effortlessly pushed off. They're very beaten up, very wounded, and the Blades of the Blood Queen are dead. We do have Bleak Swords. We do have one more ammunition shot on the Skink Oracle, which we're going to fire off one more volley and not really do any damage of note. But we're still holding Objective 1, albeit not for long. We do have the Black Guard of Nagarond, and these guys are maybe even more elite than the Blades of the Blood Queen. If nothing else, they're much more tanky and have much higher melee defense, but we're losing Objective 1. We do capture 2 by continuously throwing bodies on the point. These Corsairs getting a little too excited to kill stuff. This is not like an incredible choice for them. Just Foe Seeker runs away. Smart move from my opponent. Really should have brought him back to Objective 2. But I'm losing quite badly on value. I don't have the units to hold Objective 3. I've got the Slaanesha's Harvesters over here, which are pretty cool. They've got Soul Stealer and a couple Words of Pain, so they can do actually pretty decently in battles where they would normally lose. And I'm just trying to like cycle charge these Saurus, but it's kind of an fight for me. I have a lot of bodies on 2 though, and we did find Oxalotl, who has used every single one of his blow darts and is now just killing Dark Elves, just killing Druki, slapping them with his little blow dart. But you know, he decides, I'm done with that, I'm done, so he just walks away. These big dinosaurs of the lizards, I really have no answer to. I've got Bleak Swords, and I've got Bleak Swords, and I got Bleak Swords. And the last of the Blades of the Blood Queen run away. We've got some Pterodon Riders, which I think are going to drop their rocks. Yeah, right on top of those Bleak Swords. A lot of damage on those guys. What is this, a terror route? Yeah, big terror route on all my infantry. But we are really far ahead on points, and I've got the Black Guard of Nagarond over here on point 1, so I decide, okay, I'm losing Objective 2 in the middle. I'm not really going to be able to hold Objective 3. I'm just going to take all of my points, and I'm going to try to hold Objective 1 where my opponent doesn't really have anything, and I have a very expensive, very elite defensive tool. So I've basically given up on 2. All my units there died to a very nice rock drop. And I'm pulling everything I possibly can to hold this objective, and, you know, he's got some chameleons here, but we are just about to take it. And, you know, if I wasn't 1,000 points above my opponent, I believe I would lose this game. I'm probably like 3,000 or something, maybe even like 2,000, 3,000 value behind him. So he's got a huge, huge lead. But all I have to do is hold this point for basically like 2 minutes, give or take. Running over his routing troops over here with a couple of my wounded infantry, or cavalry, and I'm trying to get into a position to hold the point. Yeah, I'm bringing in some more Dark Shards with shields, some more Bleak Swords, pulling all the routed units, just like, hey, come over here to Objective 1, we just have to hold the point. Man, if he had rocks on those Black Guard of Nagarond, he would, that would have been very bad. He's got, once again, the dreaded cohort of Sotek, which has been such a pain, killing my units repeatedly over and over again. Once again, unsummoned, resummoned at full strength. They're going to charge in these Bleak Swords, and they are going to kill them. But with the Black Guard nearby, it's going to be a little more dicey. They do have Refuse to Die on, so any damage they take isn't actually going to be lowering their combat effectiveness. They're going to remain at 119 models no matter what. Thankfully, my opponent doesn't really have... Yeah, he's got more infantry. He's coming in. He is starting to recapture Objective 1. And if we lose Objective 1, there's no way we're going to be able to win this game. He's body blocking me with skinks over here. We just need like maybe 30, 45 seconds more of points. So I'm trying to like move my Dark Riders around. I'm trying to get my infantry, trying to get on the point to stop his capture weight, because he is just barely ticking me away. The Saurus, though, he's not actually walking them on the point. I'm not sure what, maybe he thought they were on the objective, but they're just a little bit off. And yeah, only 39 points until we can win. And I do a little devilish strategy here, taking some wounded units and actually go contest Objective 2, and even a little haggard unit to go over to contest Objective 3. Oh, yeah, at some point my lord died somewhere, whatever. She casted her spells. But with this big horde of Druki running onto Objective 1, my opponent does not have the capture weight to retake it from me, and we're actually pushing it back in my favor. And that is going to be the end of the game, as I'm just barely able to scrape out a victory. I think if all these troops were over here fighting, I would get solidly trounced. But thankfully, I accumulated a big enough point lead in the early game that it didn't really matter that I made all those mistakes in the mid-game, because I still won anyway. So just reviewing the value here currently, really none of my troops did great. A couple of the Bleak Swords did pretty good. The Sorcerers was fine. Yeah, Axolotl was great. Skink Oracle was great. Those, oh man, the cohort of Sotek, they were so good. Very cost-efficient units. The Saurus also did... Holy shit, those chameleon skinks. These javelins get 1,200 kills, and they're at like full HP. What were they throwing their javelins into? My lord? I guess. And these are my reinforcement units, as expected. If I took more handbows, probably would have outvalued these elite units. I mean, they existed and they held the line. So maybe that was the best thing that they did, even though they didn't actually kill a lot of stuff. My skirmish cavalry was amazing. These cavalry units were great. Yeah, Feral Stegodon was terror, without a doubt. That's just like from one rock drop. Got all that value. One button click. Good game. Thanks for watching.